Hey everyone, welcome to the results video of the Bobsleigh contest. So this is already our 18th contest, and for this monthly contest I added a special rule, and that was that everybody had to add copy a building from the Swag Shack and from Mummy's Minis. Both of those are channels on my Discord with lots of building examples, really hundreds of them. And I wanted everybody to recreate something for it. So they were allowed to use different materials, different colors, but the buildings had to be recognizable. Now this rule was met with some, let's call it some resistance. But yeah, in the end people played along, and we got lots of beautiful entries from a lot of players. We got 39 entries in the end, so I'm really happy with that. Now I'm going to try and go through these entries a little bit faster than I usually do. If you want to see these entries for yourself, you can simply download them from my Discord server. Discord is completely free, so don't worry about it costing you money. And yeah, I have a channel there which simply allows you to download all these entries. So I really recommend doing that after this video ends. Alright, I'm going to start with the one that got last place, and then I'll carry on until we get to the winner of this round. Okay, here we have the entry from BulliPolice. Well, this entry was disqualified because this was actually the alt account of a user on my Discord, TerrorHenk. So I'm not even gonna go into this entry. I really hate when people pose as someone else on my Discord, so please stop doing that. I made a new rule on my Discord so if you get caught doing this, you will get banned in the future. So yeah, please just stop doing that. I really don't like when people pose as someone else in order to fool other people. Okay, in 38th place we have this entry from Fauxtopia. Well, she actually ran out of time. She did start quite late, so that's also why the entry is only in year 8. So it's quite a small map. Well, the bobsleigh layout, I actually kind of like it. It's nice and simple. It also has some nice supports here under the lift hill. I actually like them a lot, and I would have really liked to see more of those under the coaster. I also kind of like these stairs under the brake runs, but I think it would have looked better if they actually had some wooden supports under them. Now, what I do like is that she also made this ice skating rink. Well, she actually used the monorail cycles for the people who are ice skating. To be fair, I think there are better ways to create ice. What I like to do when I want to make ice somewhere, or ice, I typically use the ice mazes, kind of like how I did it in Mount Ducklink. So yeah, the bobsleigh is not too bad, but you can clearly see that this player ran out of time. Okay, here's the entry from Thim2277. He made this bobsleigh here in this forested landscape in this little town. Now, I actually read a lot of the reviews that people gave, and the biggest complaint from people was that the bobsleigh is hidden so much. So yeah, a lot of it is hidden inside these buildings, and there's also quite a big underground part. So yeah, that's typically best avoided, having a big underground part. People really want to see or follow these coasters going around, and also in real parks probably it's nicer if people can actually see the coaster in the distance. Well, other than that, these buildings over here, yeah, they all use the same materials. They all kind of have the same look. So I think that kind of detracts from the look of these buildings. It's probably better to mix and match materials a bit more, rather than just using the same simple style for every building. Alright, then we get to the entry from Zumba Fitness. Zumba Fitness made this bobsleigh coaster in this mountainous landscape here. There's some cool stuff here, especially this ice skating rink. I love how Zumba Fitness made these guests stand in place here and jump. You actually do this by putting guests in a maze and then deleting the maze tiles. That will make them stay in place and jump forever until they run out of energy, I guess. So yeah, there's also a bobsleigh coaster here. Now, the complaints most people had about this bobsleigh coaster is that it's really high off the ground. You can clearly see that in this part. That really just makes it look like a sea of supports from down here. So yeah, when you make a coaster, you should really take the landscape into consideration. And yeah, it will generally look much better if it kind of follows the landscape. So if the land would be higher a bit more here, or the coaster would be a bit lower, then it probably would be much nicer to look at. Okay, then we have the entry from Soap and Butter Sandwich. Now, he made this entry inspired by a Bob Ross painting. Now, my favorite part of this entry is actually the pirate here that's called Bob Ross. And yeah, it kind of looks like he's working on a painting here. Well, actually, he's just doing silly moves and jumping around. But you can imagine that he is actually the one who painted this. Now, it's also a nice building here from the Swag Shack. And here's the bobsleigh coaster. Now, to be honest, the bobsleigh coaster, it does look a little bit awkward. I do like that it has two chain lifts, but yeah, it's not synchronized very well. I would have loved to see these two trains race against each other through the track, but sadly they don't do that. I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity. Now, other than that, it's simply just landscaping. Yeah, if you do that, usually you won't get a really great rating. It's usually best to at least have some extra rides rather than just landscaping. It will usually get you rated much higher. Okay, here's the entry from Barto. Yeah, he made this this park over here. To be fair, it does look kind of well, yeah, a little bit messy. I think there's just lots of different colors. I guess it's kind of like a yard here with containers and stuff and track pieces. There's also a big crane here in the middle. I do like this crane. That looks kind of nice. There's also this set of launched freefall towers, but it's probably not a good idea to connect these towers to each other if you also have these launched freefalls traveling up and down these beams. Yeah, them smashing into these cross beams would probably kind of hurt. So that's a really bad idea. Here we have the bobsleigh coaster. Now, I actually kind of liked this this layout. So it travels through these curves here. The only complaint I saw from many people were these airtime hills over here and over here. That's typically something you won't see on a bobsleigh coaster. Typically they focus more on fast and sharp turns. So that's probably something you should do in your bobsleigh coasters and not airtime hills. Okay, then we have the entry from CXM 1060. Well, he's back in joining a contest after a long absence on my Discord. It's always nice to see people return back to my Discord after a long time and then join in a contest again. Now, he actually made this this little town here with some nice buildings throughout. Very green, lots of plants and trees, and there's also this bobsleigh coaster that travels through the entire landscape here. It's actually quite long for a bobsleigh coaster. It goes around here, and then later we can find it over here. Now, Again, this bobsleigh coaster is quite difficult to follow, just because it goes in and out of the landscape so often. Well, my main gripe with this coaster was actually that for quite a few parts it's actually built on underground. I always like to have my coaster a little bit off the ground, and that ensures that the supports for the coaster are drawn. And yeah, real coasters also usually are not on the ground. Some of them are, but usually they're not. I think it looks nicer if there's at least some supports under the track. But yeah, that's just my preference. Okay, here's the entry from BetoJunior91. Now in this entry I actually really like the building style. The Tudor set from the expansions actually looks quite nice, and I really like how he did these buildings over here, kind of with like a balcony and overhang, and yeah, this building is also really nice. And I also love this diagonal bridge over here. Now for the bobsleigh coaster, so yeah, there's actually quite a high chain lift here. After that there's this big spaghetti of turns, after which there's a second chain lift. Well, yeah, you can actually see the coaster has to wait on this chain lift every time. I think there's one train too many on the track. It's better if the coaster trains don't have to wait on each other on any of the block sections. Yeah, other than that, I don't think it's really necessary to give this coaster 2 chain lifts. I mean, it already goes up quite high here, so this is probably enough height to make a nice track that goes from here all the way to over here, without the need for a second chain lift. It probably goes quite fast here at the end. Okay, here's the entry from Sputch. Now this is again an entry. I must say it is kind of messy. Well, let's start with the coaster. I do kind of like the supports that he put on the lift hill here. Then it drops down. A really curvy track. Also a little building here that says "Watch your head." I kind of like how we decorated these brake sections with a hardline twisted track. I always like seeing people do that. And then here there's some more twisty track until finally here it gets back to the station. Now, as for the buildings in the park, I think the buildings don't really fit together with each other that much. So yeah, when you have a park, you really should not make all your buildings exactly the same. But it is usually a good idea to at least let them have something in common with each other, like a material for the roofs, for example, or material for the walls, or just the style of windows, something like that. But rather, all these buildings here, they are different, and I think they all clash a bit with each other in that sense. So definitely some improvement could be made in the consistency in the theming in this map. Well, what I do like is that the rest of the map is at least filled with scenery, mostly trees, and I kind of like this, this revolving observatory here. That's a quite interesting use of the monorail trains. Okay, here's the entry from SeaHorse Gene. Now, I must say I like this, these buildings here. Well, what I mean with that is that yeah, this is really something I haven't seen anyone else do in their parks. So really large buildings, although it does look like some of them are floating. Maybe this is just a modern art, or maybe it's based on something. I don't really know. But yeah, even though it's sometimes a bit weird, it does look pretty cool, I think. Also some nice layering here as well. I like that SeaHorse put the glass in front of these elevator doors and kind of gave it this metallic look to the building. I kind of like that. Also really like this plaza here on the water side. That's really neat to look at. As for the bobsleigh, well, again, it is quite hidden. It's quite hidden here partly in the mountain. So here it leaves the station. There's quite a bit of a slow section here before it reaches the lift hill. And then here, yeah, it just goes down with some turns. Kind of like a real bobsleigh coaster would do that, I guess. So yeah, this layout, at least this half, is quite okay. There's also some extra rides here. Well, here's a log flume. No one seems to be riding it, or just very few people. What you should be careful of when you make a log flume, well, there's some drops here immediately followed by a turn. That's really something you should not do. That would be quite uncomfortable for the guests. Also here on the back side of the park, you can see a splash boat ride. So it drops all the way down here. It's a short splash section, and then here it gets stopped at the station on this strange piece of track here. Probably would have been better to also to change this track into a log flume track, so that at least it also is a water track here rather than this coaster track. It doesn't really make sense here. Okay, then we get the entry from Mr. Buffalo. He was 0.01 point higher than the previous entry. So yeah, I like this this building here. That's a nice copy from something from the Swag Shack, but with different colors that fit this map nicely. And there's also a sort of a boomerang coaster hidden away in the ground here. I kind of like how it pops out here at the back. And there's some nice interaction with the pods here as well. I probably would have loved just looking at the ride here and then riding it myself later. That's quite neat. Yeah, as for the bobsleigh, so here's the station, then it travels upwards here. Just does several helixes, spirals, and there's more spirally sections here. And there's a bit of an underground section, and then here finally it travels around a fountain before it returns back to the station. So yeah, I think yeah, the bobsleigh coaster could have been even better, maybe with some custom supports, but I don't think this is a bad job at all. I kind of like this park. Maybe it could have used an extra ride, or but yeah, I think it's actually pretty good. Okay, here's the entry from Savvy Adam. He made this bobsleigh coaster in a heavily wooded area with a big building in front. Now, I generally advise against making really big buildings, because it's really difficult to not make them look very repetitive. And sadly, I think this building does look quite repetitive in the end. Now, he also made this this awning that's supported by these columns, but yeah, it looks like these columns are a little bit too much to the front, so it actually looks like they're in front of the awning, which does look quite weird in my opinion. Now, as for the bobsleigh, you can see it travel this up this lift hill here. Now, there's lots of custom supports under the coaster. Maybe he overdid it a little bit with the supports, but at least it does look quite interesting. Yeah, these spirals, they look very wide. I think with these small cars, maybe some extra tight turns would have looked a bit nicer. But yeah, to be fair, I do kind of like his layout. Okay, here's the entry from Fade83. So he made this very dense area. I believe this coaster was inspired by an existing bobsleigh coaster. It's probably the one from Europa Park, because it also has this big this big long section right after the lift hill, and followed by sort of a big drop, and then just a spirally section, and it's all in the middle of a Swiss town with some really nice path interaction in the middle. Now, something I think would have made this entry nicer if it actually just had brown supports. I think it would have looked nicer with these buildings, even if it's a recreation. Now, there were some other rides in the park that I really liked. For example, this powered coaster here. I think it looks really nice. It's very compact, and it's really decorated in a nice way. Also, just lots of nice little buildings here in the area. Now, one thing I didn't really like in the park is that as soon as you open it, it almost immediately starts raining. So yeah, it's a minor thing, but it's usually something to take into account when you save and submit your park to me. Usually I will disable the rain. But yeah, you're not sure if everybody who will give you a park a vote does. So it's just something to take into account. Okay, here's the entry from Manticore007. Now, he actually made a really funny entry. Because yeah, he based it on our Discord server. So this coaster is also called Discord. You can actually see the Discord logo right in front of here. So right in front of the entrance of the coaster. Also, the Discord is completely free. Yeah, just lots of little jokes here. For example, here you can see bear's toilets. Well, it's a building based on bear, so it's made of poop. Well, yeah, if you're not a member on my Discord, you probably don't understand these jokes. But a lot of Discord members were also mentioned on here. This ride is called Phoenix Wing 101. The joke about this entry is that its intensity rating is ultra extreme, so guests don't actually want to go on it. Sad. But yeah, this is definitely an entry you should check out for yourself. There's lots of little jokes here. For example, here's a little jail with 2 members on my Discord that were alt accounts and that were banned. So BulliPolice can probably join them. Anyway, definitely check this entry out for yourself. About the bobsleigh, yeah, the bobsleigh really is nothing special. I think people would have rated the bobsleigh much higher if it also had stuff like a transfer track, maybe some custom supports, etc. Okay, here's the entry from Maxa. Now, there's actually an interesting story behind this entry, because Maxa actually first submitted a map to me, but it was actually 40 by 40 tiles instead of the 35 by 35 that was allowed for this contest. So he actually had to somehow shrink the map. He said he might start over, not sure if he actually did it, but in the end he did manage to make a nice park out of it. So yeah, as you can see, this park is just packed full of buildings. I also like the palette that was used. It makes it look sort of like a sunset. Now, lots of nice buildings here. I think when you make these buildings, you should be careful with using these Georgian walls from the expansions, because these walls, they're really texture-less. They really have only one color, so that might look a little bit weird in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, especially if you use them like they were used here. So here they just really look paper thin. When you do it like this, it's better to place a pole right next to it, just to make it look a little bit thicker. Now, as for the coaster, again, it's one of those coasters that's quite hidden away, so that usually doesn't really help people give it a high score. Now, what I actually do like is that there are some nice interaction moments, especially this part over here where it comes out of the building, and guests can actually stand right next to the path here to watch the coaster. I love interaction moments like those. Okay, here's the entry from SupraNormaal. He again made a bobsleigh in a very wooded land. Now, I must say I like the colors here. It is very brown, but I think it gives a nice contrast with all the green from the trees. So for the bobsleigh, yeah, it's just a simple track. Just goes down these helixes here, then go into the brake run, and then a few more helixes, another brake run, and finally another set of helixes, and then back into the station. Kind of like what you'd expect a bobsleigh to do. Some nice buildings here as well. I like the variation on the paths. Not really sure if I like the bridge though. Maybe some more wooden planks may have looked nice. It's not bad. Maybe could have been better. Yeah, I think a complaint from a lot of people was he actually tried to make a gradient of the tree color. I think here it's quite gradual, so there's some lighter green here going into this more dark green. But on this side, one side of the path there's these brighter green trees, and then on the other side of the path there's this other color of green. I think they kind of clash with each other. I think it would have been better to just do it either more gradually or just stick to one color of trees in the map. But yeah, that's really just a minor thing. Okay, here's the entry from Joseph Stalin, also known as Comrade Chris. So he made this coaster over here. So from the station it goes into a bit of curve section up the lift hill, and then here there's a more spirally section, finally into the brake run, and then it does more of this until there's another brake run here before it returns back to the station. So nice little transfer track here. I think the actual sliding section here might be a little bit too big for the transfer track, because these trains are very short. So I don't know why he needs this really long section here. Yeah, some nice trees here in the park. Not really sure if it's a good idea to mix these cherry blossom trees with the rest of the trees. No, it's also a nice little swing ride here. The impressive support structure. I think it does look a little bit messy here, with all the wooden planks mixed with these stairs and all the fences here. So yeah, not a bad entry. I think if he was a little bit more careful, it would have looked a lot nicer. Okay, here's the entry from Seer. Seer made this wooden bobsleigh coaster here. I really like this bobsleigh coaster. The support structure here, it looks very impressive. Coaster does go quite fast throughout the layout, but yeah, like I said, I really like the support structure. So actually from the station it first travels around here, then here first there's a smaller section before it goes into the second chainlift. I guess that's kind of inspired by the ride Flying Turns at Knobel's park. But yeah, I was really impressed with the bobsleigh coaster itself. I rated it quite highly. The rest of the park also looks quite nice, but there were a few flaws that I found. Now, for example, I saw some staff, like this handyman here, just running around at high speed. That just looks kind of silly to me. That's probably best avoided. Now, there's also a boomerang coaster with some custom supports. It's probably a good idea not to make the supports clip through the coaster. That's kind of disturbing to me. Other than that, the employees probably also could have used names. Again, this is a minor thing, but people on my Discord really like to be included in the park in a funny way. or you could at least give the employees names rather than this handyman 1, 2, 3, etc. It's just a little thing to make your park look more complete. Now it's not required, but I think usually parks get scored a little bit better if employees also have names in the park. But still, I really like the way this bobsleigh coaster looked, and the rest of the park also looks really nice. Okay, here's the entry from Zarathustra. Now he made this big bobsleigh coaster over here, so it travels through these ruins, and this bobsleigh coaster actually has some really cool quirks, let's call it that. So here it brakes, and then it partly travels up this hill, and then at the end it slides back and does part of the track backwards. Now I'm not really sure how he did this, but it is a cool trick nonetheless. And then finally here, when it arrives back at the station again, somehow here it reverses again. So that's really nicely done. Like I said, I don't know how he did it exactly, but these are really cool tricks. Now he also made a river raft right here. What I think is really cool here is that he actually gave it a normal station here, and also I think this is a single rider queue, so people can also get on here. I guess this is simply the second station, and somehow he made these boats go around the track on different tracks. Again, I don't know how he did this station, but it's done quite nicely. So yeah, if you want to figure out how he did that, I think you should download this entry for yourself and try to figure out, or or just ask him. That is probably even a better idea. Okay, here's the entry from Scottish.Novice. Now she really gave it her all in this round, and I think you can really see that. So yeah, for the layout of the bobsleigh, it's quite a simple track. So it simply travels up the lift hill here, and then it does a few twists while slowly going downwards, and ending with some helixes. And here there's a barrel roll. No, that's typically not something you will find on the real bobsleigh coasters. So that's probably also why this coaster is called Rule 7. Because Rule 7 of this contest was have fun. And I hope that's something she really did. So yeah, most comments on this park I read mentioned this barrel roll as something weird, but I thought it was kind of it's actually quite fun to watch. So there's also some really nice buildings here in the park, some nice details as well. I love this Loch Ness monster that she made here. Well, it's a dinosaur, but she's from Scotland, so it's probably a Loch Ness monster. Also put a section of track here with some stationary trains. Some really nice buildings, and I also love this fence around the coaster here. Really nice job. Okay, here's the entry from Enox. Now, Enox actually recreated Bob from the Dutch park Efteling. So also it has these single trains, or these single car trains traveling through this track. There's some nice custom supports under the track. Now you can actually see all these cranes here and construction stuff. And here's track pieces for the new coaster Max and Moritz, which was built to replace Bob. Now some nice buildings around the park here as well. So a custom carousel. I actually like how we use these balloons here from the expansion with a frozen entertainer under it. So it looks like it's a guy that's actually selling balloons. I really like tricks like those. Now, as for the coaster, the layout is quite nice. Of course, it's a recreation. I just wish it would have more than 2 trains on the track. I mean, it does have a lot of block sections, so it probably could handle an extra train here. Right now you have to wait quite long to see another train on the track. Alright, then we have a tie for 17th place. So here's the entry from Blonde Tuco. Now he also made this coaster called Flying Turns. Not sure if it's a recreation, but it does kind of follow the layout of the existing one at Knoebels. So first there's a chain lift with a short section of helix track. And then there's another chain lift with some track that, with some really twisty track that goes back and forth. And finally here going back to the station. Well, first here there's a transfer track. Not really sure what's under this diagonal section. Guess it's just chain lift. Other than that, here's a launch tower called Stratosphere, and here there's also a ride called Flyers right next to the flying turns. It's a shoestring ride, obviously. Here's some space rings as well. The park is really small. I think quite a few people commented on that. But I do like the buildings that he made here. They look really nice. Especially love how he did this awning of the building here. The red awning that he made with Mine Train coaster track. That's really creative. And yeah, that's pretty much already the park. So yeah, it's quite small, but I really like this little coaster in the middle. Okay, also in 17th place we have this coaster made by Geoff. It's a recreation of a bobsleigh coaster. I believe, I'm not sure, I believe it was a recreation of a coaster in Italy or France. But yeah, so the coaster leaves the station here, then it goes up. There's actually a sort of a lift right next to the lift hill of the coaster, so I could also see some evacuation lift cars here. So that's something I've never seen anyone do before on a coaster. Not sure if a system like this actually exists. You would expect something like this on a ride that often breaks down, I guess. So the trains travel up the lift hill here, then they go back and forth a few times. And here's some trim brakes before it goes into the mid-course brake run. Now, it is a recreation of a ride, but still, this is quite an odd element. It's not something you usually see on a coaster. So, I guess the coaster he recreated is just an odd ride. And after that, there's some more twisty sections here before it returns back to the station. I really like these buildings here. It's very dense, but I think it looks really good. Also love how he made it open here in the middle. Not sure if this part is supposed to be indoors, but I think it is. Also some other nice rides here. Here's a little log flume. Not sure if it actually does anything interesting. It's probably just a cut off part of a ride that would normally actually extend here, because it's called River Fall, but in this section there's not actually a drop. But yeah, just the lovely buildings here. I especially love this little fountain here that he made with this monorail track, some water. Here's some of these lion statues that look like they're spitting water. Some nice umbrellas here. So yeah, really nice work. Okay, here's the entry from Maartn. Well, I actually expected this to score much higher, but here it is. So yeah, I thought this entry was great. It looks fantastic. I mean, just look at this castle here, and yeah, all the paths around it, all the buildings. This looks fantastic. Also the flags right next to the ride. I think the only part where this entry lacks a little bit is in the layout of the ride. Sorry, the bobsleigh coaster. I do like how we used the wooden coaster track to make these to make these curved drops. Maybe it would have looked even nicer with some other track on top, just to make it look like the gap is filled up more. Now, the coaster is actually a little bit difficult to follow, but still I do think it looks really nice. Yeah, the coaster has a bit, there's quite a lot of brake sections. Yeah, the lift hill is quite high, so it may have been a little bit too high, so that's why it has to brake every time and lose a lot of speed to make it back to the station. Maybe the speed management in this ride could have been a little bit better. But yeah, for sure, this, in my opinion, this was one of the more visually impressive entries. Really a nice job. Okay, here's the entry from Herplexed. Now, this bobsleigh coaster travels through this, again, through this mountainous area. There's actually a bit of snow on top of the mountain here. So yeah, I really like the layout of this bobsleigh coaster. So from here's the chain lift, then it goes through these helixes, then it briefly travels through the mountain, and then into the brake run, and then here's a bit more of a twisty section, and here it hits the final brake run. That's actually an interesting way how we did the transfer track. So it kind of looks like one of those scissor lifts. So probably the track can move down, and then here the coaster can be moved into one of these storage tracks. Not really sure how this section here would work, but fine. There's also one of these disco rides here. Kind of like how we made it a diagonal disco ride. And also there's this ride here called Robbie's Bow, which I guess it gets pulled up here backwards, and then it swings back and forth several times. Some nice buildings here as well in the park, especially this building here in the corner. I think it's really impressive. Yeah, just generally nice landscaping. Although I'm not really sure about this river here in the mountain. It looks very blocky. It has these 90-degree angled turns. So I'm not really sure if that was the best idea. I do kind of like how this coaster travels under the waterfall here. That's some nice interaction. Okay, here's the entry from Shen Kitchen. He recreated La Fibora. It's a bobsleigh coaster from one of the Six Flags parks. And it has a really stunning color scheme. Now, Shen actually probably used some tile inspector tricks to actually color all these track pieces in different colors. For example, normally you can only have one color in the entire curve, but by mixing some, or by using some tile inspector tricks, you can actually get them all to show in different colors. So yeah, I think that gives a much nicer color gradient than when you can only do the entire curve in the same color. So that's really nicely done. I also kind of like how we did these brake sections. And also here in these tight turns, he actually used these enterprises to actually work as supports. I think that's really clever. That's really something I've seen anyone do before. Now, also some other rides here. Here's one of those Super Looper rides. So a little building called the Swag Press or Swag Express. Also in the same colors as La Fibora. And also I really like how we did this pirate ship here in the middle. And some fountains here as well. So yeah, really nice job from Shen Kitchen. Some nice realism here. Alright, then with 0.001 point more than the Shen Kitchen, we have this entry made by AJ. So AJ made this coaster in a really nice location. I love the landscaping here. It's a nice mixture of floor textures with different trees and nice plants on it as well. Also love how he put in these canyon sections, but not putting too many. so it's not overwhelming. And it's nice to see this log flume pass around these sections. Now, for the bobsleigh coaster, it has a nice layout. Here's the station. Now, the lift hill, it travels up pretty high for a bobsleigh coaster, but the layout is quite long. So, in the end, I think that's it's justified. So there are several brake sections throughout the track as well. So it doesn't really travel too fast anywhere, I think. He also put some sections with the bigger curves, and he used the wooden coaster track for that. Again, maybe it would have been nicer if there was another track on top of the wooden track, just to fill in this, to fill out this gap in these gaps in the track, because the bobsleigh coasters really need a solid track to drive on. Some other nice buildings as well here, and some other rides in the park too. So yeah, nice coaster and really nice landscaping as well. Great job. Okay, here's the entry from Darkoro. Again, an entry with a really striking color scheme. Now, this one actually just uses one color per curved track piece, but still, I think this is done really nicely. Or maybe actually he did use the same tricks here. I can see it in some of the track pieces. But yeah, I really like this color scheme. I think it really makes this coaster stand out. And also, there's some custom supports under this coaster that I really like. So yeah, there's some of these poles with wooden post fences in between. And yeah, also some supports made with posts. Also with some of these footers underneath. So those are, I think they're just 4 of these corner pieces that are all rotated to fit together on this tile. I think that looks really nice. Some nice landscaping here as well. I really like these trees, and also this gradual they gradually go from dry bushes into colorful trees. I think that's quite nice. Nice station building here as well. And what I also like is that he put this rim all around the park. I kind of like when people do that. I think it really helps to make your park stand out. Okay, here's the entry from LXRS-DV. He made this really nice green coaster in the middle of these woods. Now, yeah, I think this is one of the coasters with. I think this is one of my favorite support structures under one of these coasters. So these wooden supports, I think they look really nice. Just really well done also with these diagonal sections. Nice mix of wooden supports and also wooden post fences. And also a nice use of these footers. And also the layout of the bobsleigh coaster, I think it's done really well. So yeah, just some helixes, curvy sections, and here's a brake section, and then here's a bit of a longer twisty section before it reaches the final brake run. Also some Dutch flags on top of the station. The station building looks really good. Also here some really nice buildings, and I also really love this bridge that he made for the railway. So this tunnel entrance, really nicely done. And here the train bridge continues. Also the landscaping done really well. I love how he mixed all these trees and plants. This is done in a really pleasing way. So yeah, great job, and I hope to see more from you in the future. Really nice work. Alright, then we get to the top 10 of this contest. In 10th place we have this entry from Jens J. He made this bobsleigh coaster in a snowy park. Now it is very bright, so you may want to wear your sunglasses now. So yeah, I think the bobsleigh coaster looks really nice here. One issue I had with it was that it really has too many brake sections. So here's the lift hill, then here it drops down and it immediately goes into a brake section. Then there's one twist, and then here it goes into a brake section again. Then it goes around here. 12 under, another brake section, then another short piece of track, and then another brake section. So yeah, really, you should ease up on the brakes a little bit. It's quite a short layout, so I think you could let the guests do a little bit more of track before you force them to brake again. Now, this is a very interesting palette. I like how he made all these roofs look like they're actually covered with some snow. This is done in a really nice way. So really nice landscaping here. I really like how he made a waterfall here in the middle, and also this mountain on the side. I think it looks quite nice, and beautiful buildings here as well. So yeah, great work from Jens, and I copied some of his foliage tricks actually in Mount Dirkling. I should probably do a new episode quite soon. Alright, then in 9th place we have this entry from Mekkit. Now, Mekkit made this Viking-inspired entry. I really love all these boats here in the water. This boat looks fantastic. It also has all these soldiers on board, and they all have Viking names, or well, at least Norse names, or Nordic. Also really like these little boats that Mekkit made with water coaster boats. That's done in a really nice way. These buildings here, they're also really nice, and they really, I think they really capture the building style from that time. Here's the bobsleigh coaster. Now I must say it's actually very brown, so it really blends in with all these buildings. Also these supports above these helixes here. I'm not really sure if I really like them. The layout of the coaster, I think it's quite good though. I really like seeing it go around here. There's some nice tight spirals here, and it does pick up some nice speed along the way. So yeah, quite nice layout, and also I really like how it actually goes over the... Yeah, it passes over these cliffs here. That's actually quite cool. And what I like most about this coaster is actually the station of the right, which looks like a large upside down boat. So yeah, and of course also the edge of the park is all done with a lot of these temple pieces and little wall pieces as well. It looks kind of chaotic, but it also looks yeah, it definitely makes it a unique looking park. So yeah, great landscaping, great buildings, and I love the boats in this entry. Okay, then here we have this entry from SwagTitties. He actually scored 0.001 points higher than Mekkit. That gave him 8th place. So yeah, he made this coaster called Sarajevo Bobsled. So I believe it's based on a existing coaster. So it's really a very... he tried to make it very realistic. That's usually his building style anyway. I really like how he did these supports. He somehow made it so there are more supports than you would normally expect from this type of coaster. And some of these supports he also connected them with mini suspended coaster track pieces. So yeah, I think it's really impressive how he did these supports, and I also really like how he did these evacuation stairs for the mid-course brake runs. These look really nice with these ladders in between. And also the station of the right, I think it looks really nice. Yeah, it looks very impressive. I love how he did all these pillars holding it up and these roofs. Now also the walls in the park. He actually also used some of these perspective tricks to actually make a lot of these curved walls. You can actually see in some places that they're not actually curved, but they're slanted downwards. But when you look at them from the right angle, it will look like they're diagonal. Now, there's also some other really nice buildings in the park, some nice gardens as well. Love how he decorated all these paths, and there's also a train going around the park. I believe this part was meant to be inside. So it looks like it travels through many different... I think, yeah, it's called Dog's Time Machine. So it travels through many different themed areas. So yeah, great work. Okay, here's the entry from Major Craving. Now, this park just has tons of details in it. So here's the station for the bobsleigh coaster. I think it looks incredible. Again, it looks like a Nordic theme. At least the station suggests it. And probably also the name of the coaster is called Fenrir. That's indeed from a Nordic theme. Now, the coaster is absolutely covered in supports. It may have been overdone a little bit. But yeah, it for sure does make the coaster look unique. It does make it stand out. I also really like how he did the supports in this over these helixes. Actually travels through buildings several times. What I really liked about this entry was that he actually made some little, let's call them hops, or well, yeah, little small hills that were actually banked to the other side. I think they're would be quite fun elements for a bobsleigh coaster to travel through. Yeah, some other nice attractions as well. I love the buildings that he made here. And there's also even a really nice corkscrew coaster here. Some really great interaction here with the paths. I love how it travels over these paths here in these corkscrews. That just makes it look really good. And really nice custom support work here on the coaster as well. And other than that, there's also a shoestrung pirate ship right here. And again, it also looks fantastic. So yeah, tons of detail in this park. This park looks fantastic. Really great work. Alright, then we have this entry made by Emiel. Now, it's in year 94. So he absolutely put a lot of work into this park. Now, first of all, I love how he did all the landscaping here. I love this waterfall here in the corner. I really like how he made the cliffs next to the waterfall with these volcano pieces and some of these ruined statues. The bridge here is also quite nice. He may have overdone it a little bit with the lamps though. And some other nice buildings along the path here as well. Here's a little shoestrung ride called Vomit Comet. Looks like a really fast carousel. Well, trust me, it will pick up speed and then they will start spinning faster and faster. Quite an insane ride, probably. And here's the bobsleigh coaster. It looks quite compact. The support work, I think, looks incredible. And that's a nice layout through this coaster as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff to see here in this entry. So you should definitely check it out for yourself. And it is quite nice to see this coaster travel through this really compact layout full of tight twists. Alright, then we have the entry from Ulvenwood. Now, he actually made a Mobius dueling bobsleigh coaster. Man, it's really fun to watch them go around through this through this sea of supports. It's really nice to see them duel with each other. So it's actually one of these rides that has one station, but yeah, after train does one lap, it actually goes to the second lift hill, and somehow he managed to sync the coaster, well, to synchronize the trains so that they will travel through this layout at the same time. Probably just some block breaks that take care of that. Just like I did in my mega park with the launched dueling Mobius coaster. Now, yeah, like I said, really nice to see them duel with each other. Really great support work. I also love how he made this snake. I believe it's a double-headed snake, which was also the theme for the bobsleigh coaster. Some really cool other rides as well. I love how he made this airplane here. So with a little air traffic control tower. And here's also a weird boomerang ride with actually what looks like an airtime hill instead of a loop. But I do like how it travels over the path here and here into the ground. Just not really sure about this support here. Probably should have hidden that. I don't know. But yeah, fantastic work on the bobsleigh coaster, and fantastic work on the park as well. This was definitely one of my favorites. Okay, here's the entry from Mulpje. Once again, very impressive landscaping in Mulpje's entry, as usual. I mean, yeah, just look at this mountain. I love how tall he went in this landscape. So really nice to see this waterfall here in the corner, and yeah, there's really nice rock work as well here on the river banks. It's mixed nicely with plants. And even I think these are even the toadstools and other objects which look like rocks. For the bobsleigh coaster, it's also nice to see it go around here. I like how Mulpje gave it different colors here on the lift hill, and also in the supports you can see some different colors as well. Layout is quite nice. What I like most is that actually here after the brake section there's actually a covered section. So this one has a bit of track above it. It's nice to see a coaster really have different sections throughout the ride. I think that improves the experience and makes it more memorable. I love seeing little tricks like these. It really looks nice. Nice support work as well for the coaster. Yeah, and in the rest of the entry, there's also some nice decorations. I believe this is just the dummy track, but there's also a mine train track here, which actually has guests on it. You can see them pop in and out of the mountains several times. So yeah, I think this the only thing that would have made this entry even better is maybe some extra rides. Maybe a ride over here would have also been nice. But still a very impressive entry. Alright, then we get to the entry that got third place. This one's made by Scorpion. I also gave this one, I believe I gave this one the maximum score because I was really impressed with how this entry looked. I believe it was based on the bobsleigh coaster in Heide Park. I also rode that one. It's also one of my favorite bobsleigh coasters. Really fun ride. So yeah, here's the station building. Incredible looking building. Just so many layers to it, and yeah, it's just done really well. The colors work together really well, and yeah, I love how you, for example, layered these railings with these glass walls. That's incredible. Now, as for the track layout, so first travels up the lift hill. It's a bit of a twisty section. Then there's a brake section. Then there's several more spirals, another brake section, and then finally there's a part where it briefly goes underground, and then finally it travels back up to the station with another chain lift. So yeah, not an exact recreation of the ride at Heide Park, but for sure it does look inspired by it. Now the rest of the park, I think it also looks really nice. Yeah, just beautiful buildings. I love how he did the paths here as well. So with some really nice railings next to it. Yeah, just really nice plants and trees everywhere, rocks. Here a little waterfall. There's just nice stuff to look at everywhere in the park. Also a pair of launched free falls here. So yeah, amazing entry. I really hope to see more from Scorpion in the future. This was just really good. Alright, after this entry I'm going to show the two parks that are in the top 2. And after that I will reveal which one got the winner. Or which one is the winner of the round. Alright, here we have the entry from Skifa. This entry looks beautiful. Again, it's a palette that makes it look like a sunset. And this coaster travels through a beautiful little town. I just love the way this looks. Now, this palette actually modifies the, let's say, the white and white, gray, and black part of the palette. So these parts, which are normally gray, are now actually a sort of a pink tone, or salmon pink. And I really like the way this looks. It gives a really nice accent to the park. A really nice shade. For the coaster itself, well, this one also has a nice trick. Well, first off, of course, there's these curved drops. He made them by combining wooden coaster track with a mine train track. And my favorite part of the entry is actually that here there's a split in the track. So some of the trains actually go on this suspended track here, and some of the trains just follow the bobsleigh track. You can see this coaster car here, and because the bobsleigh coaster trains swing from side to side in the curves, it actually makes it look quite realistic as it's suspended under the track, because here it will just keep swinging, just like suspended coasters do. So that's a really neat trick. And here you can see another train that just follows the bobsleigh track. So yeah, it's not very realistic, but it for sure is a very cool trick, and I think it gives a really nice effect to the park. But I also like this that he made a little shuttle loop here in the middle of the park. So actually on the way, let's say when it goes forward, it actually passes through the loop, but there's actually a brake section here to prevent it from falling off. But then it also doesn't have enough speed anymore to pass through the loop. So on the way back, it actually just bypasses the loop with an S-bend. It's a bit of a silly trick, but it works. And here there's also a little swing ride. So yeah, other than that, the park just looks really nice. There's even a little skate park here. Just many cool buildings. The plants are done in a great way, even though the palette makes some of the trees look really strange. So yeah, a wonderful work. Really amazed by this entry, and the trick with the palette is really cool. Alright, and here's the final entry. This one's made by Robbie Hood, and this is just insane. So he actually made text in 3 different fonts, or even 4, just using coaster track pieces as greetings from Lava Palooza, Eternal Tourist Trap. Now, how he did this, I have no idea. It's just done with diagonal track pieces, and for some reason, probably some tile inspector magic, just deleting some of the parts. The text is only visible from one angle. That just blew my mind when I saw it the first time. Now, it's already difficult enough to make something with track and texture, but that he actually managed to make all this text and to make it look so nice. I think that's just awesome. Now, there's just also some really cool rides in the park. Here you can see the bobsleigh coaster. So it actually lets guests enter at the top, and here at the bottom there's an exit only station, so here the guests get dropped off again. Now, for the layout of the coaster, here they travel downwards, or they go through this half helix. Here's the first brake run, and then here's a section where they go a little bit faster. What I actually like most about this bobsleigh is this section over here, where they actually pass under the waterfall. That's some nice interaction, or I should probably say a lava fall. Now, since there's an exit only station here, the coaster cars will travel empty through the rest of this section. Maybe it would have been nice to also have an exit here at the top of the ride, just so guests could also go through this part. But I guess it's more of a backstage area. It is decorated very nicely though, even with these little ruins which it passes through here. There's also a big statue in the middle. I love how the yeah, the eyes and the tongue actually pop out from time to time. Here is also a very impressive shoestring ride. This Virginia reel over here with a lot of cars. And what I actually liked most was this. There's these two little cars here that actually rock back and forth from time to time. They're in test mode and they're in berserk mode, so that's probably what causes these cars to exhibit this behavior. But it's very cool. I haven't seen anyone use this before, so that's yeah, that's really nice. Okay, something else in this park that was really cool. You can see a guest go on this mini golf ride here, and he actually drops into the volcano. I guess this is the sacrificial hike path, and from time to time you can actually see the volcano erupt right after a guest drops in. Not sure if we're gonna see it during this video, but it's a really nice sight nonetheless. Yeah, I don't see any rides that broke down, so it should erupt soon. Ah, there it goes. I think that's a really cool trick. So yeah, now it's time to reveal which one of these entries was the winner of this round. So the winner of the 18th contest, the Bobsleigh coaster contest, is... Yeah, I'm not even gonna pretend it's not obvious who won. The winner is Robbie Hood. So yeah, congratulations Robbie Hood. This trick is really neat and must have been quite difficult to make this. I'm still in awe over this, over how you did this. This text is insane. But other than that, the rest of the park is also incredible. Yeah, I think the foliage, the rides, the shoestringing, all the neat little tricks in the park were done in really nice ways. Great support work for the coaster. Great scenery. Yeah, it just has everything to be a winner. So, yeah, that was the end of Ride Creation Contest round 18. A new round will start pretty soon. I will announce it tomorrow at midnight. So not the current night, but tomorrow at midnight. So yeah, that for sure will be exciting. And in the next round we'll have a rule, a special rule that you can team up with someone else. So I'm really curious to what entries we will get for the coming contest. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.